Good evening, wrestling fans. Herb Simmons coming to you here on Sunday night, each and every Sunday night. As you can tell from the last couple of weeks, things are a little bit different on Sunday night, and that's because we've got the big show coming up on Saturday, May the 13th, and everything has been geared towards that. As we've been telling you now for several months, the big show, May 13th, over 50 legends and special guests are scheduled to appear at the Aviator Hotel and Ballroom in South St. Louis. We've got so many legends coming in. Let's take a moment now and just listen to some of the ones that has sent us in some promos advertising what you can look forward to on that big day, Saturday, May 13th.
Wrestling fans, the largest fan fest to come to St. Louis is Saturday, May 13th at the Aviator Hotel in St. Louis, Missouri. Over 40 wrestling legends and special guests will be in attendance. Just to name a few: J.J. Dillon, the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, JBL, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Enzo, the Nasty Boys, Jerry Briscoe, Ken Patera, Haku, Barbara Goodish, The Grappler, Cowboy Bob Orton Jr., and many, many more. We'll also celebrate 64 years of wrestling at the Chase as we honor Bruiser Brody, Larry Matisick, and Tony Costa during this annual event. The St. Louis Wrestling Portable Hall of Fame will be on display, and the 2023 class of the Hall of Fame will take place with the induction of Jerry Briscoe and J.J. Dillon. This will be your time to come and meet all the great wrestling legends you grew up with. The evening ends with SICW's live wrestling event and the Bruiser Brody Memorial Battle Royal. This all takes place on Saturday, May 13th. Doors open at 10 a.m. at the Aviator Hotel, 6921 Lindbergh Boulevard in St. Louis, Missouri. To purchase your tickets, visit SICW.org.
Whoa, good day, mateys, WWE and Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer here, Bushwhacker Luke. And on Saturday, May the 13th, I'm headed to St. Louis, Missouri to see my good mate, promoter Herb Simmons, and the SICW fans. Join us for the biggest and greatest fan fest and the superstar legend Bruiser Brody Memorial. Remember, Saturday, May the 13th, mates. And also, go to SICW.org, O-R-G, to order your tickets now. This is going to be a bloody slobber knocker. See you there. Oh, yeah. Whoa.
Hey, this is Fred Ottman, Tugboat, Typhoon, the Shockmaster, the B-A-double-D, Big Steel Man, coming at you live from Tennessee. Scott Wilder Promotions and SICW has teamed up to bring me to St. Louis, Missouri. That's right, at the Aviator Hotel and Ballroom on Saturday, May the 13th. I'm looking forward to seeing all the SICW fans, and I want to thank promoter Herb Simmons for his 50 years of keeping the memories alive in St. Louis. That's right. As a wrestler and as a wrestling fan myself, thank you, sir, for everything you've done for the business.
Saturday, May 13th, GT Collectibles and Toy Roundup are bringing me, Buff the Stuff Bagwell, to the SICW Fan Fest in St. Louis, Missouri. I will be at 6921 South Lindbergh Boulevard in the Aviator Hotel and Suites. Come see me, Buff Daddy, live and in color to get your autograph and your picture. I will see you guys May 13th in St. Louis, Missouri. Buff Daddy is out.
Hey, what's up, players? WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long. And on May the 13th, I'm going to be in St. Louis, Missouri at the Aviator Hotel for one of the biggest wrestling events in the history of professional wrestling in St. Louis. It's going to be the annual Bruiser Brody Memorial. Also, we'll be doing inductees for the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. Now, two of those inductees I do know. One is going to be Jerry Briscoe, The other one is going to be the legendary manager James J. Dillon, and many, many more. Also, we will be celebrating 64 years of wrestling at the Chase Auditorium in St. Louis. I've been there several times myself. Can't wait to get back on May the 13th for a big fan fest. Wrestling St. Louis Hall of Fame, also the Bruiser Brody Memorial. A lot of things happening there at the Aviator Hotel on May the 13th. I'll be there along with my co-host, Mac Davis, for our After Hours Road Trip podcast. We'll see you there, May the 13th, St. Louis. Holla, players.
The St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame is proud to announce our 2023 induction ceremony. Saturday, May 13th in St. Louis, Missouri. Our class of 2023 legends include Gerald Briscoe, induction by John Bradshaw Layfield, plus the legendary J.J. Dillon. Saturday, May 13th at the Aviator Hotel as part of the giant SICW Fan Fest weekend. The St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame.
Hey, all you Widow's Peak freaks out there, guess who's coming to St. Louis? This chica, this bad baby. That is right. May 13th, St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame and Fan Fest. Details are below. So get your tickets now. Meet and greet, baby. It's all fun. All fun and games. So I love these things. You know that. I'm addicted. Anyways, I love you guys, and I will see you May 13th.
Wrestling fans, the first SICW Fan Fest to take place in St. Louis, Missouri will be Saturday, May 13th at the beautiful Aviator Hotel and Ballroom located at 6921 South Lindbergh. This will also be the night of the annual Bruiser Brody, Larry Matisick, and Tony Costa Memorial, along with the celebration of 64 years of wrestling at the Chase. Appearing again this year will be the widow of Bruiser Brody, Barbara Goodish. Each year, Barbara has made herself available to attend this event and thank the great SICW fans for remembering her late husband. Also, being awarded that night, Darla Staggs will receive the Sam Muchnick Award. Darla first attended her first match back in 1959 when her father was holding her in his arms as Pat O'Connor defeated Dick Hutton to win the title. That night, the 2023 class of St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame will be inducted. Those being inducted this year will be WWE legends Jerry Briscoe and J.J. Dillon. Jerry Briscoe and his brother Jack headlined cards in St. Louis and all over the world. J.J. Dillon was not only a wrestler that spent much of his early years in St. Louis and the Kansas City area, but went on to become the manager of the Four Horsemen. Inducting Jerry Briscoe into the Hall of Fame will be another WWE legend, JBL. Inducting J.J. Dillon will be SICW promoter Herb Simmons. The St. Louis Portable Hall of Fame will be on display, and classic videos from the great days of wrestling at the Chase will be playing throughout the Fan Fest. Also, here are just a few of the other legends scheduled to appear. Tugboat, Enzo, Teddy Long, Brooklyn Brawler, The Berserker, The Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, Ted DiBiase, The Grappler, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Rick McCord, Cowboy Bob Orton Jr., Earl Hebner, Victoria, Greg Gagne, and much, much more. You can visit SICW.org to purchase your tickets, and for hotel reservations, call 314-463-0636. Wrestling fans, there's nothing better than barbecue and wrestling. When you're hungry, stop by Mr. Barbecue with 2 locations to serve you in Columbia and Waterloo, Illinois. Great barbecue, cold beverages, and SICW wrestling. Mr. Barbecue is a proud sponsor of the SICW Fan Fest coming to the St. Louis area on Saturday, May 13th. Go to SICW.org for all the information on how to purchase your tickets. Wrestling fans, you looking for the best in daily lunch specials and great menu food items? Look no further than Layla's Roadhouse, 440 Falling Springs Road in Cahokia Heights, Illinois. That's right, a family sit-down dining and always great specials. Also has the best pizza in the area. Layla's is a proud sponsor of the SICW Fan Fest being held Saturday, May 13th at the Aviator Hotel in South St. Louis at 55 in Lindbergh. Go to SICW.org for information on how to purchase tickets for this huge SICW event. Wrestling fans, are you looking for those vintage toys? Those hard-to-find 70s, 80s, and 90s action figures? G.I. Joe, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Star Wars, Transformers. Look no further than Snyder Toys. They will have what you're looking for. Give Robert Snyder a call at 618-314-3266 for all your vintage toy needs.
Well, there you have it. You've heard from some of the legends who are going to be coming in on Saturday, May 13th at the Aviator Hotel and Ballroom. But already signed for that night is not only the Bruiser Brody Battle Royal, where approximately over 30 wrestlers will be in that ring trying to win that beautiful Bruiser Brody Cup, but another match that's already been signed, and that is a Texas death match between the SICW champion, Attila Khan, the man who has just been running rampant over the last couple of years, taking on another big man in the Big Texan. And of course, Attila Khan is a member of Devastation Incorporated. And of course, there's not a lot you can say about that other than they are mean, they are tough. Their manager, their advisor, whatever you want to call him, Stephen E., has made no bones about the reason why he's in SICW right now. He's made it very clear he's here to take over. He's here to buy out SICW. So what I thought would be interesting as we gear more towards May 13th for that big Texas death match against better judgment, I reached out to Stephen E. because it's important that you, the fans, hear the side of Stephen E. On what he thinks his plan is going to be moving forward. So sit back, buckle up, and let's listen to what Stephen E. has to say.
Well, Herb, listen, I know that we've talked about this in the past. I don't understand how I can't get a straight answer from you about the business that I've laid out on you, but the ball's in your court.
Well, Stephen, ever since you came to SICW, you came in with a vengeance. You brought in the Devastation Incorporated, which is a monster organization, as the fans know. And I just want to remind the fans, this is an ordinary interview, but I've thought with the big event of May 13th coming up, and you've kind of backed me into the corner with your champion Attila Khan, and which has done nothing but run through everybody over the last several years. And he is a monster of a man. I give him all the credit in the world. But the way you've came in and tried to take over, I just don't know what makes you think that you and your investors, as you call them, think you can do that. So can you explain that to the fans?
Well, let me explain something to you, Herb. The almighty dollar speaks louder than anything else. And that's what I have, more importantly, backing me up than any investors. I've got cash. I've got money. And I know that there's a dollar sign. I know that there's a figure that you're wanting for SICW, and we're going to get down to that one day. At this point right here, I don't want to go into it publicly, but Herb, I want SICW. My investors want SICW. And everybody knows that Devastation Incorporated is the premier faction in professional wrestling today. When you've got Attila Khan, the greatest wrestler, the most dangerous wrestler on the face of this earth, on God's green earth, and you've got Sheik Prater, it doesn't get any better than that. And then when you top it off and you put Peyton Ayers with me, and let's not forget the soldier of fortune, Derek Stone. You never know when he's going to show up in my corner.
Well, and again, I give the devil their dues, as I say, and I give you the credit that you have pulled this off. You know, May 13th is scheduled to be in 50 years probably the biggest show that SICW has produced. You know, over 50 wrestling legends, a lot of them that you know, a lot of them that you've watched, and special guests going to be at that Aviator Hotel and Ballroom in South St. Louis. And I know I can see the smile on your face that, you know, you think, well, I've got you in that position. I'm going to walk out of there still with my guy with the SICW Classic title. But, you know, the guy that you guys have also backed in the corner is the Big Texan. And, you know, Big Texan comes from Texas, and those guys know how to handle business, especially after what took place a couple of weeks ago when their team, the Texan and Gary Jackson, won that tag match against your guys, which you couldn't be there. But the stipulation, a Texas death match. Now, who's put who in the corner?
You ask yourself this, Herb, did you put us in a corner? You're talking about the most dangerous wrestler on God's green earth, Attila Khan and Sheik Prater. Did you think they really lost? So they got to pick the stipulation. Let's pick the stipulation. You would have thought if they were using their brains that they would have picked a better stipulation than what they picked. But what they picked is a Texas death match. I don't understand the logic or the thinking when the Big Texan decided that that's what he was going to do, because at that point, guess what? There's no DQ. Anything goes. And when anything goes, and you've got somebody like myself in your corner, who knows what's going to happen, Herb? As far as I'm concerned, by the Big Texan picking a Texas death match, he sealed his fate.
Well, I don't know if you were able, depending on where you were at, whether if you were back in the Middle East or wherever, if you were able to see the interview I did with the legendary, one of the all-time greats, Dory Funk Jr., whose father invented the Texas death match, which was very interesting, very informative to our SICW fans, because you just spelled out a few of the stipulations. You know, there's no disqualification. Falls don't count. We can have one fall. We can have 100 falls. There's no time limit. The referee's job will be there to stop any choking. But as far as anything else goes, he's just going to be there to see. The winner of that match will be declared when the other person cannot answer the 10 bell after a fall or a count out or whatever may be. He'll have a 10-second rest period, a 30-second rest period between the falls, and then he'll have a count of 10 to get back up on his feet. The Big Texan, I think, has said, hey, I have nothing to lose and I have everything to gain, where on the other hand, you, Devastation Incorporated, and Attila Khan have a lot to lose in this match.
Do we have a lot to lose? Absolutely, we have a lot to lose. But just like we have shown and we have proven in the past, we don't lose. You know, the stipulations are the stipulations. We're not going to argue that. But when you've got somebody like Stephen E. in your corner, you never know what's going to happen, Herb. You've been in this business for 50 long years, Herb. Have you ever seen anybody that brings the caliber of talent, that brings the intensity that we bring to the ring? No, it's not. It doesn't exist. You see, Attila Khan, he is an individual who is, well, let's just say he likes to hurt people. And me, I'm a little of what you might call a buffer in between stepping over the line. You know, well, I'm the one that dictates who Attila Khan hurts. And May 13th, at the Aviator Hotel and Suites in St. Louis, Missouri, the person that he is going to hurt is going to be the Big Texan. And the Big Texan has been asking for this. He put his hands on me. He's been asking for this, and he's going to get it.
Well, and I guess just to remind the fans out there, this is the Bruiser Brody Larry Matisek Tony Costa Memorial. And Bruiser Brody, of all people, has had his share over the years when he was still with us in Texas death matches. So I think it's fitting that the big Texan steps in that ring with the likes of Attila Khan, who, as you said, takes no prisoners. But I can tell you, the big Texan is a man on a mission. It's kind of like he said, I'm coming after Attila Khan. I'm coming after Stephen E. So you're right. There is no disqualification. So you may have to have eyes in the back of your head because you never know who's going to be lurking around there. The Texan has everything to gain. That classic title is what makes SICW so important. And speaking of that, let's go back to the reason why you and your investors are so interested in SICW. I mean, there's all kinds of other promotions out there. Why SICW?
Why SICW? Because this right here is what professional wrestling is all about, Herb. This right here, SICW, it represents professional wrestling. My investors have been watching SICW for a number of years, Herb, and they like it. They don't like the product, they love the product. And what do you do when you love something? You want to own it. And that's what they want. They want to own SICW because guess what happens? When we get a cash injection, when we purchase SICW, we're going to do a lot of different things, Herb. We're going to bring fireworks. We're going to bring cameras and lights, and we're going to bring smoke. And, you know, with that, obviously, we're going to have to raise ticket prices. But at the end of the day, we are going to take SICW to the next level. And when we're done with East Carondelet, we're going to move SICW to the Middle East so the Middle East fans can enjoy what SICW has to offer.
Well, you know, I'm still trying to wrap my head around how you think you can buy something that's not for sale. And I think that on May 13th, you know, I didn't just reach out to somebody and say, hey, can you come in and be a part of this big fan fest? A lot of these wrestling legends called me and said, hey, we want to be a part because St. Louis was so the hub of professional wrestling. You have been such a part of wrestling, as you said, for over 50 years. So when you have the likes of the Bruiser Brody Battle Royal, over 30 men going to be in that ring. The widow of Bruiser Brody will be there to present the winner of that Battle Royal, the Trophy Cup. You'll have the likes of Cowboy Bob Orton Jr. You'll have the likes of Ted DiBiase, JBL, Jerry Briscoe, Jimmy Hart, the Mouth of the South, Stan the Lariat Hansen, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, the Brooklyn Brawler, the Grappler, the Nasty Boys, you know, Greg Gagne, J.J. Dillon, and that list goes on and on and on. So my point I'm trying to make to you there, you may have Devastation Incorporated, but on May 13th, I'm going to have the power of not only those 50 legends and special guests, but I think I'll have the power of the SICW fans.
Herb, just settle down for a second. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've still got 20-something days till May 13th. I don't want to make this, I don't want to turn this into a public spat, but we need to sit down privately and we need to talk about the future of SICW and why the future of SICW has got to have Middle Eastern investors in it. We are ready to take SICW to the next level, Herb. All of those names that you just mentioned, well, they're great. They've been there. They've done that. They've done anything and everything in this business. But they can each tell you that money talks and BS walks around here. And with my investors, we have plenty of money, Herb. We have plenty of money. So what I would suggest to you is simple. Go ahead and sign the check, or go ahead and take the check, put your number on it. I told you it's an empty check. It's a blank check. You just put how much you want for the company, and I'll sign it. I've already been authorized by my Middle Eastern investors to do what I have to do to get this done. And you've not made it easy on me, Herb. In fact, I wouldn't even be sitting here talking to you if it wasn't for the fact that you have been just blowing me off for the last 6 months whenever I come to talk to you about the purchase of SICW. I know that you don't want to sell SICW to me, but you and your 50 years experience have got to understand, Herb, that we can take SICW to the next level. And that's what we plan on doing.
Well, and let me, prior to you arriving on the scene at SICW, and I must say by contractual arrangements, I'm not sure if you would be here any other reason why, but a good friend of mine attended a show here a year and a half ago. A gentleman named Ron Powers, who was one of my former SICW champions, and he made a statement up in the ring that evening when I asked him to say a few words to the great fans, because Ron Powers was personal friends of Bruiser Brody, personal friends of Cowboy Bob Orton, traveled all over. So most of, if not all of everybody who will be there on May 13th knows Ron Powers. And in fact, Ron Powers will be a part of that fan fest, along with Spike Huber and people like that he worked with over many years. But he made this statement that night that his concern about the business is what happens to it when Herb Simmons decides to get out of it. God forbid if something happens to Herb Simmons, and that alone set a fire in me. It put more gas in the tank. And because when you stop and think about it, a guy like Ron Powers, who I totally respect, a guy like Bob Orton, who I totally respect, people like Teddy Long, who will be with us there, Jerry Briscoe, those are guys, Dory Funk Jr., that I can pick up the phone and call. I have no problem, like I said, interviewing those type of people. When you come in with the, oh, we're going to buy this, we're going to buy that, that does not impress me. The one thing you said a while ago, well, yeah, we'll have to raise ticket prices. That doesn't impress me. My fans get the best deal out there, and they get the best product out there. So what in the hell makes you think that you and your people can come in and do better than what SICW is doing now for the great fans of SICW?
What I think we can do better, like I said, Herb, we want smoke, we want lights, we want big time production. That's what we want. We don't want to just go in and purchase SICW and leave it the way it is. We want to evolve SICW. And that's what we plan on doing. We plan on evolving SICW. You see, Herb, I'm a man with many resources, and my resources say they want SICW. And what my resources, what my people say, what they want, they're going to get.
Well, in my 50 years of doing this, I've heard these similar, maybe not as strong as you're pushing and have been pushing, but I've had people try similar to what you're trying to do, and it hasn't worked for them. And I just got to tell you that I'm an old timer. I'm old school. And I give, again, I'll say it, I give the devil their dues. You are very persistent. You are persistent enough to where I'm sitting here talking to you tonight, which I normally would not do as the promoter. But I've never run from a fight. But I can tell you one thing, the fans of SICW, I've got fans who's been following me for over 40 years that when they probably see this interview will cheer up and down of what I'm getting ready to tell you. And that is real simple. SICW is not for sale. If and when that ever happens, I dang well would not even consider selling it to you and your investors. Now, you can put that wherever you want to put it at, but I think what you should be focused on right now is Saturday, May 13th, when Attila Khan is probably going to be in the war of his life. And he's tough, he's mean, I give him credit. But I also know the Texan is on a mission. and he's going to ride into that Aviator Hotel, and he is going to show the fans of SICW why they call him the Big Texan.
Herb, I hope for 1 second that you don't believe that I am going to underestimate the Big Texan. I've been in SICW for a long time, and I've seen what he does. I know what kind of man the Big Texan is. I know how much grit that man has, and I know how much the fans love him. But he's not the most dangerous. He's not the most dangerous wrestler on God's green earth. Attila Khan, the international bounty hunter, that man right there, international. He's been all over the world. All over the world. He's not just located here in the States. He's everywhere. And he's a dangerous man, Herb Simmons. He's a very dangerous man. You know that. And if you think for 1 second that we've underestimated the Big Texan, you're wrong. We haven't underestimated him. We haven't looked past the Big Texan, because May 13th in St. Louis, Missouri, at the Aviator Hotel, we're going to show the Big Texan exactly why they call Attila Khan the most dangerous wrestler on God's green earth.
And the other thing that I would just ask that you, when you're having your sidebar with Attila Khan, and I know you'll have Sheik Jake Prater there, but just make sure you point out that there is going to be a wealth of knowledge in that Aviator Hotel that night. Somebody like Stan the Lariat Hansen. You're familiar with Stan Hansen, aren't you? Oh yeah.
I know who Stan Hansen is.
And I don't know, and I'm just going to throw this out there. I can't tell you what's going on with it. All I can tell you is that I did get a call from Stan Hansen, and he asked if I could put him in touch with the Big Texan. And so I provided him a phone number. So maybe he was just calling to say, hey, I'm looking forward to seeing you. I can't wait till May 13th gets there. Or was it a pep talk?
Herb, that's not something that you should have done. Let me explain to you. The Big Texan doesn't need the advice of Stan Hansen. The Big Texan has been running roughshod for a number of months. In fact, he's a Hall of Famer. He doesn't need any advice from anybody. Don't give any of those legends the Big Texan's information, because he's got nothing to absorb from them. He can learn nothing from them. He can learn nothing from them.
And while I'm talking about that, as I said, I'm kind of old, and my mind sometimes gets away from me, and I've got so much going on planning for this big show on May 13th. A couple other guys, and it kind of dawned on me a few days ago. Why are these people calling? You're familiar with JBL, aren't you? He was another one that said, hey. He said, hey, when you get time, I know you're busy, Herb, you're promoting the show, producing it. He said, can you ask the Big Texan, give me my number, tell him to call me. JBL's another one. So, I don't know what's going on. Even Teddy Long, people like that is calling. They're not calling me, asking me to talk to Stephen E. They're calling and asking to talk to Big Texan. So
sure
just keep that in your mind.
I'm sure a couple of them are, Herb. There's got to be at least a few of them that want to get in touch with me and give me some advice, right?
Well, all I can tell you is another guy, he did ask about you, and that was my good friend John Nard, the Barbarian. And then just recently, and I say recently, last night, two of my good friends, and you may not remember them, but the Faces of Fear, Haku and Barbarian.
Of course,
they remembered they were out in Vegas with the Big Texan last year. Now they may have just wanted to be talking about what they did on Fremont Street or whatever, but they asked if they could get his number. So again, I don't get excited about that. I just think I think they're just kind of reminiscing. For your sake, I hope that's what it is. You look a little pale there.
No. I'm not pale. I'm just thinking. I'm trying to think outside the box here, Herb. it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. We're going to walk into the Aviator Hotel on May 13th, and we're going to handle business just like Devastation Incorporated does. We didn't get here because we're some pushovers and because people can just step on us. We got to the position where because we are some of the baddest men walking around. And Herb Stan Hansen reached out to you and got the Big Texans number.
Yeah, and my
And
good friend
JBL
Tugboat,
too.
my good friend Tugboat, and then about a week ago, I think it was. I think I have to go back and check my notes. The Nasty Boys, you know,
Brian and Jerry.
yeah, yeah, they called and said, "Hey, we understand there's a Texas Death Match. We understand the Big Texan. We've heard a lot about him. We like to just talk to him and tell him we're rooting for him. And so, and I hope that's all it is. I hope it was just, hey, Tex, this is Brian, or this is JBL. Hey, good luck on your match. I hope they're not whispering in his ear, telling him what to look for in this Texas Death Match because, and you're going to be at ringside. Your contract says you got to be at ringside.
Make no
So
mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. I'm going to be at ringside, but Stan Hansen?
make when you refer to him, Stan the Lariat Hansen.
Oh, don't.
So right there, I'm sure he'll have his cowboy hat on. I'm sure JBL will have his cowboy hat on,
So,
and I
so
know
hold
that
on a sec.
Big
Hold on a
Texas will
second,
always have
Herb.
his cowboy hat on.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows what the Texans' finisher is. It's the lariat.
Yeah,
And it's already devastating enough, right? Everybody knows that. I mean, it's probably caused more concussions in SICW than any other move. And he's taking advice from Stan the Lariat Hansen.
that may keep you awake between now and May 13th.
Yeah,
You think?
that will definitely cause some. That's a cause for some concern. But
Well, good. So back to your original. You heard my opinion. Uh, I'm sure when you show up on May 13th, you'll still be hounding, but once and for all, I suggest you go look for an organization that's ready to sell. Because as long as the fans continue to support SICW, SICW is not for sale. And even if it would be, it would not be to Stephen E. and your investors.
Herb, before you make that statement official, because I don't think you've made that an official statement yet. Before you make that official, I want you to think about it. Because I mean, think about it. You could be down in the Caribbean next week. You could be sitting on the beach, sipping on a drink with an umbrella in it, and talking about the good old days, the glory days of professional wrestling to all of the guys down there in the islands. You would, I don't get it, Herb. I don't get it. We could financially secure your future, and all you have to do is sign the line that is dotted, and you won't do it. I'm not quite sure I understand the logic behind that. And maybe we just need to up the ante, and maybe we need to just let you know that check. Maybe we need to reiterate to you that is a blank check, and that you can put any amount that you want on that check, and it will be signed, Herb. We want SICW, and what we want, we get. Make no mistake about that.
There's more than the almighty dollar, as you say. Friendship is ranks way up there with me. Loyalty, and that's one thing you have left out of this entire conversation and even since you've been on the scene. I've done a lot of research on you and your career, and I really don't like it. It doesn't belong that deep inside of SICW, and I think my fans would be totally um, dissatisfied if I would even consider doing anything like that. So I'm going to end this by here tonight saying that between now and May 13th, I want you to try to get as much rest as you can. Uh, take a telecon. Maybe you take him down to the Caribbean, feed him a couple of those drinks that you're talking about, because I got a feeling, or better yet, you better get him some spinach, and because he's going to be in for a war against the Big Texan on May 13th in that Texas death match. Fans, I think that image right there says it all. You've been listening to Devastation Incorporated advisor Stephen E., and I think I just gave him a lot to think about between now and that big show coming up on May 13th.
Herb, JBL and Stan Hansen, you gave them the Big Texans information, so he.
Yes, I love it. Silence is golden.
Not very often will I admit to being at a loss for words, Herb Simmons, but I am a loss for words. I'm gonna have to hit the drawing board.
You have a good evening, and we'll see you Saturday, May 13th.
Wrestling fans, SICW Wrestling has been providing fundraising opportunities for several decades for local communities and nonprofit organizations. If your community or organization is in need of a great fundraising opportunity, SICW Professional Wrestling is the way to go. For more information or to schedule an event, call 618-286-4848 or 618-719-1034. We'll bring the matches to you. Wrestling fans, you looking for the best in daily lunch specials and great menu food items? Look no further than Layla's Roadhouse, 440 Falling Springs Road in Cahokia Heights, Illinois. That's right, a family sit-down dining and always great specials. Also has the best pizza in the area. Layla's is a proud sponsor of the SICW Fan Fest being held Saturday, May 13th at the Aviator Hotel in South St. Louis at 55 in Lindbergh. Go to SICW.org for information on how to purchase tickets for this huge SICW event. Wrestling fans, there's nothing better than barbecue and wrestling. When you're hungry, stop by Mr. Barbecue with 2 locations to serve you in Columbia and Waterloo, Illinois. Great barbecue, cold beverages, and SICW wrestling. Mr. Barbecue is a proud sponsor of the SICW Fan Fest coming to the St. Louis area on Saturday, May 13th. Go to SICW.org for all the information on how to purchase your tickets.
We got a few moments left on this week's episode, and as usual, we like to try to mix the new with some of the history of professional wrestling. So let's take a look back in time with a little footage from Wrestling at the Chase.
Second main event, an Australian tag team match, one fall with a 10-minute time limit. Introducing from Indianapolis, Indiana, weighing 235 pounds, Mike Hubert. From Wellington, New Zealand, weighing 235 pounds, former world champion Pat O'Connor. From Baton Rouge, Louisiana, weighing 268 pounds, Bob Sweetan. From Dunkirk, Indiana, weighing 238 pounds, Roger Kirby.
Mike Huber and former world champion Pat O'Connor take on Bob Sweetan and Roger Kirby, the second main event today. Huber and Kirby circle. Huber ducks underneath the first grasp of Roger Kirby. Once more, Huber sidesteps Kirby. Cautious. They come to grips. Pulling on each other's neck. Huber was forced to one knee. Now Kirby was. Huber leans into Kirby. Finally an arm drag by Mike Huber. Tosses Kirby aside. You know, during that special tape, which was put together here by the fine crew at KPLR TV, comparing the strengths of Andre the Giant and King Kong Brody, when you think of all the moves those two men have that are reliant upon their power, their strength, and their agility, it'll be interesting to see how they match up against one another. Can Brody, for instance, lift Andre for a body slam? Can Andre lift Brody? Brody says nobody can body slam him. What will happen if Andre scores the giant splash on Brody? Can he keep Brody down? And what happens if Brody hits Andre with that flying knee drop? Will that be enough to stop Andre? The battle of the giants. Andre the Giant against King Kong Brody. That is a classic matchup, something the entire wrestling world is talking about, just as they're talking about the big 16-man Wrestle Royal. Andre has captured the last two Royals in St. Louis. He will really be a target in this Royal. And, of course, Brody has a golden opportunity maybe to injure Andre, to keep Andre from being effective or even getting to that Royal. You can bet Brody will stop at nothing, as he said he would. He would stop at nothing a couple of weeks ago here on Wrestling at the Chase when we interviewed him. He was wild that day talking about the match with Andre. Think how wild he'll be when the bell rings and it's Andre the Giant versus King Kong Brody. Good fireman's carry by Roger Kirby. Huber muscles his way out. Tag made to Bob Sweetan. Kirby hangs on to Huber for Sweetan, and Sweetan bangs a fist off the side of Mike Huber. Sweetan pounding on Huber. Sweetan tossed to the ropes by Huber. Flying tackle. Huber's waiting with a hip toss. Arm drag. Mike Huber pulled back by Sweetan, who grabbed the hair. I don't think the referee saw it. He was trying to get in position to count the shoulders of Sweetan when Sweetan reached up. Love that slow motion insert too of that side suplex from Starr. Starr probably has the best side suplex I think I've ever seen. I can remember Danny Hodge using it. Bobo Brazil uses it. But Starr really seems to have mastered the balance necessary to yank that man back. And remember, Starr won that big Wrestle Royal in San Francisco, so he's experienced in Wrestle Royals. And Starr is one of just many to watch in that 16-man Royal coming up here in St. Louis. Plus the Missouri title on the line. Dick Murdoch risking the state crown against Dory Funk Jr., who held the World Heavyweight Championship more than 4 years, who held the Missouri crown, and in fact who won the Missouri title from none other than Harley Race, the current world champion. Bear hug by Kirby, and Kirby drives Huber into Sweetan's knee. Knee drop to the back by Sweetan. Once more, the knee drop to Huber's back by Bob Sweetan. Sweetan and Kirby have made several tags, but Huber has been unable to tag O'Connor. There's the bear hug by Sweetan on Mike Huber. And it's worth mentioning on Pat O'Connor's behalf that he suffered a knee injury a few days ago, and he's working under rather difficult circumstances because that knee injury has been giving him trouble. Huber almost belted his way out of the bear hug. Sweetan grabs the tights and tries to maneuver Huber back to the corner where Sweetan can tag Kirby. Kirby comes up from behind Huber. The bear hug by Kirby, and Kirby, very powerful, lifts Huber off Huber's feet. Huber flails away with forearms. And now a fist. Bangs the ears, and finally Kirby has to drop Huber, but Huber's definitely in the wrong corner as far as he's concerned. Benader keeps Sweetan back, so does Lee Warren, but Huber couldn't get away.
5 minutes have elapsed, 5 minutes left.
5 minutes remain. Huber spun away from O'Connor. O'Connor reaching out, trying to make a tag. Huber, Kirby, trading blows. Tag is made to Pat O'Connor. Sweetan, though, was being chased to the corner, and I don't think the referees saw it. No! The referees were doing something the fans wanted them to do, chase Sweetan out of the corner, and because of that, neither referee saw the tag made from Huber to O'Connor. The crowd's in an uproar, but they'd have been just as much in an uproar if the referees had let Sweetan come to clear across the ring to help Kirby. It was a no-win situation for the officials. And it was a no-win situation for Mike Huber. He's tossed to the ropes by Sweetan. Oh, hard forearm smash to the solar plexus. Flying elbow drop by Sweetan, but Huber's leg is on the ropes. There will not be a pin here. Sweetan works with the boot across the forehead of Mike Huber. And then Sweetan lifts Huber. Kirby brings up a foot and drives that boot into the stomach of Huber. Huber trying to get to Pat O'Connor. Here comes Kirby. Kirby working on the stomach of Huber, but Huber refusing to quit. Huber and Kirby trade blows. At Huber, this won't quit, and O'Connor urges on his partner. Down goes Kirby. Huber dives to O'Connor, and here comes the Irishman. Kirby backs into the corner. O'Connor goes to work on the stomach, and then the hard right cross by O'Connor. O'Connor whips Kirby into the buckle, flips him up and over. Here comes Sweetan. O'Connor spots him. Sweetan driven head first into the buckle by O'Connor, who then pounds on Kirby's face.
3 minutes left, 3 minutes.
Huber gets in his legs from outside the ring. O'Connor blasts Kirby in the face again. The sleeper hold by O'Connor on Kirby. Here comes Sweetan, and Sweetan kicks O'Connor right in the rib cage. Kirby whipped to the rope. Nearly hits the referee, and Kirby flipped over the top by O'Connor. O'Connor goes for the pin, count of 1. And that too, the very strong Kirby throws off O'Connor. O'Connor hurls Kirby to the ropes once more. The sleeper again as he tags Kirby coming off those ropes. Right in the middle of the ring, but there's Sweetan again. O'Connor released the sleeper before Sweetan could hit O'Connor, and O'Connor would like a piece of Sweetan. Kirby and Sweetan try to double team O'Connor, but it doesn't quite work. O'Connor butts the heads of Kirby and Sweetan together. It was almost 2 against 1. The sleeper again by O'Connor. O'Connor with the sleeper on Kirby. Sweetan sees what's happening. Warren manages to chase Sweetan out. They chase Huber out. Kirby trying to keep consciousness as O'Connor tries to cut off the blood supply to the brain. Kirby gets to his feet though, and O'Connor takes several hard smashes from Bob Sweetan outside the ring. Here comes Huber. We have 4 in one corner. Think what it'll be when there's 16 in one ring. Huber chased back by the referees. Kirby and Sweetan double teaming the former world champion.
1 minute left, 1 minute.
Just a minute remaining in the second main event. O'Connor trapped by Sweetan and Kirby. Side headlock. Off the ropes comes Sweetan with a flying tackle. O'Connor rolls, catches another flying tackle. O'Connor moves behind Sweetan. Reverse rolling cradle. This could be it, but Sweetan gets away. O'Connor behind Sweetan with the sleeper. O'Connor with the sleeper on Sweetan. Sweetan thrashing about, trying to get to his corner where he can tag Kirby. And does so. Kirby charges. O'Connor runs right into the sleeper again. O'Connor now with the sleeper on Kirby. Sweetan too groggy to do much good, helping Kirby. It's pretty much up to Kirby right now. Sweetan still in the corner trying to regain his bearing. Time running out. O'Connor trying to put Kirby away. Sweetan trying to get in there. Huber comes in to help. There's the bell. The time limit has expired. Kirby held on. Terrific display of courage and toughness by Roger Kirby, hanging on while trapped in the sleeper. This match is a draw. Here's Mick.
With time running out, referee declares the match a draw.
There you have it. Another exciting night of SICW Championship Wrestling as we get closer to Saturday, May 13th at the Aviator Ballroom, 6921 South Lindbergh in St. Louis, Missouri. Over 50 legends. Don't forget, coming to entertain you. You can come get your autographs. Don't forget, go to SICW.org. That's the quickest way to make sure you get your tickets. Be there for the induction of Jerry Briscoe and J.J. Dillon into the St. Louis Wrestling Hall of Fame. Get them tickets now, SICW.org, and we'll see you next week with a lot more information leading up to that big day, May 13th.